like if you wan, I can't talk today.
Expectatable one.
You won.
Me when I won.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Gollum's Gamers podcast. So today we are doing a GBHL overview episode. We haven't done one of these before, but we're going to be talking about lots of different things to do with the league. Now, we're joined today by two special guests. We have the GBHL. Are you the chairman or the
League coordinator is the official title.
Do your research.
Ali King. And we also have someone else joining us last minute. We have Steve Denby from Any Heroics and James Goble. So Ali and Denby, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on. You are both our first repeat guests, actually. So how does it feel?
So I'm just distracted by that picture. Looks like the thing they put on a news broadcast when like some accidents happened or something like that.
This guy's gone missing.
I will now request that every time either Ali or I is on the podcast, that both of us have to be on the podcast.
Maybe this is the way forward.
Who are you to demand anything?
The person
Only the biggest SBG YouTuber from the UK.
Oh, is that not Atomic Parts?
You probably are.
No, Atomic's bigger.
We are going to start off today by covering some recent news in the GBHL because, as Ali is well aware, of course, he knows all the ins and outs of all these details. That's why I'm sharing the article so that he can refresh his memory. Is this even on the right? Oh gosh, I don't even know if anyone can see.
You're just reading one of my like tactical articles I wrote a year ago or something.
No, this is the right one. This is the right one.
This is the right one. So, if you haven't seen the article, it's on the GBHL website, and there's a bunch of changes basically that are going to be coming in for the 2024 season. The first of which being to do with the capacity at 100s. Is that right? In like Scotland?
Well, just everywhere in theory.
Everywhere. But why is that change happening? Is it because of events further up north, or?
So essentially, especially in the mid part of the year, how hard was it for people to get a ticket? I know you guys just end up getting Ash to be your PA, but even he failed at a couple of points and got sacked.
Yes,
I'm back in it though. I'm back in the duty
today though, so that's fair.
And I've got the ones for the finale. Shout out finale.
So essentially, there was a lot of people who were raising the issue they couldn't get tickets to events, especially GBHL 100 events, which then meant it was hard for them to compete in the league. It wasn't necessarily every single region. There's some less populated regions like Ireland and Scotland and Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland for our Irish cousins that have slightly smaller events. So the way it's going to work going forward, it may sound a little bit complicated, but each region, so there's 5 regions, will be guaranteed 4 GBHL 100 events, regardless of their region, those events' capacities. However, if you want to host a GBHL event, generally you're going to have GBHL 100 event, you're going to have a minimum of 64 capacity. It's only if there aren't enough venues in that region that you'll be able to have a GBHL 100 with a lower capacity.
Does it say the minimum capacity of 64 on here? I don't think it does.
It may not specifically, but that is the sort of
that's the big event.
So in reality, at the moment, it may not impact a lot of the regions too much, but it's kind of giving a nudge to the TOs to be like, if you can you boost up your numbers if you still want to run it. And so that's sort of the main one coming in.
I guess I do kind of worry for not all the events, like Dewey, for example. He always has like loads of boards and they're really, really good, so like he has the capacity for more players. But I guess I wonder for some events that were maybe 32 players, some 100 events that were 32 players, if they have to go up 64, are they going to be like really stretching their terrain and everything?
Yeah. So actually, my event, Secret Kings, is probably an example of this. Like, sort of, I was pushing 50.
How not
this
to do
year.
terrain.
But like, if I wanted to go to 64, I would probably need more terrain or help because the club kind of don't have loads of SPG, and that's part of the reason why actually in the rules pack people get to bring their own build terrain. One of the cool things for TOs that are part of the GBHL is we've got each region has their own collective of TOs, and so Southwest is a good example. Like Dewey, Tom from Atomic Cards, Matt King, and all of that will share and like lend terrain and that to each other to help boost each other's event numbers. In the central region, you've got Will Champion and Seventh City, like have a whole actual scheme where you can hire out tables of terrain and stuff like that. So I think it's only like £5 a day. Don't not 100% sure on that one, but it's something like that.
I just guess as a byproduct of increasing the minimum capacity, you don't want like quality of whatever things suffer.
So it's there going, basically from most TOs there will be the community there to support them, and part of the GBHL network of TOs is we help facilitate that, and like someone can just go, I need an extra 5 tables, anyone know anyone who can help lend and all that stuff.
And it's usually more experienced kind of TOs that are running 100s anyway.
So it's basically most TOs should be able to, especially like in the regions where you're likely to need to have a larger capacity venue because of the venues that are currently available, be able to get those numbers up if they want to, which should be good for people. It should mean that the events get the numbers as well, being GBH 100 that you should do from a national ranking event, because you can have situations where you could have this year a GBH 100 event with sold out of 32 people, and
like Worcester.
and like half or more of the people who are in the top 20 couldn't even get a ticket if they wanted to.
Was there 32 players in Wales at the one day?
You would have to ask someone who was there.
I think it was
yes.
24, wasn't it?
No, it was more than that. It was either 32 or 36.
Would you guys have restrictions on one-day events being hundreds as well?
That is a segue.
34 players with 2
Ali,
drops.
spill the juice on that one.
So essentially, GBHL 100 event going forward will also have to be a minimum of 2 days and a 5-game event.
But there's
can't
no
have a
maximum amount of days.
No, so if you really wanted
For a
to,
potential week-long GBHL 100 hosted by the
Gollum's Gamers
the bank
Gaming
holiday.
Marathon.
You do have to have at least 16 players attending. Is that correct?
For an 8.
It's either 8 or 16 for it to actually qualify.
So any Heroics and Gollum's Gamers together. Okay,
We're almost there. We'll be running a 3-day event over a bank holiday weekend eventually.
But basically that feedback came from because a lot of people didn't like the idea of a national event being a 1-day event, so they had to travel 4 or 5 hours for 1 day's worth of gaming. And also
we loved it. What do you mean?
And for the event was, to be fair, like 1-day GBH 100 events, I've run one before, like World Champions run one before, but it was back when the sort of size of the events were usually 24 sort of was like a good size event. So a 4-game event would actually get you a natural sort of winner. Whereas now, especially if we're setting the standard saying 64 players are expected at a lot of events, you kind of need the 6 rounds. Yeah.
This is the man in charge of the GBHL.
Not for much longer.
We could expect
this might get other people to like write these articles. But no, so basically that's kind of just to make sure the hundreds are your sort of fully competitive national sort of events with a size and meeting people's expectations of what you're getting.
Sounds fair.
I think it's just a good sign of how the league is growing and how more people are getting into MESBG, which can really only be, positive change.
Workshop, listen up. Give us some new content, please. But yeah, I do always see a lot of people on Facebook and stuff and on the event pages saying how they can't get tickets and everything. So, I mean, personally, I've never not been able to get a ticket, but I hear there are people.
Oh,
Yeah, but you're
that's 'cause you don't
also
have a-
not got a job.
Weird flex.
Well, I haven't bought a ticket in months, so
When you have the benefit of, I know, like all three of us groups, Guardians, Any Heroics, and Gollum's Gamers do. I noticed I put Gollum's Gamers third there. When you've got a group of people who you can say, okay, if two of us try and get tickets on the dot with the PayPal ready to go, and you can try and buy 6 tickets for your team.
Oh,
On
did
the
anyone
dot.
see Jake Wilson for the league finale? Like, he looked like
Oh,
he really
no.
wanted to like boost
Giga
his
chat
chances
mode.
and bought 8 tickets for himself.
each person could do that individually, though, Deadly. That would be my.
You can, but what are the chances that every time a ticket deadline comes up, you individually, assuming you have a job and a life and a social life and
So put it this way, I
have
run the
time.
league and I've missed several ticket sales because I got there 10 minutes after they went on sale or half an
Ali,
hour.
from you, that's not really that surprising.
I know, but it's there going, I know when these events are going, but even then it's like I'm within 10 minutes of the tickets going sale in the evening and I've missed out on a ticket.
That is 10 minutes too late.
And there's also the casual crowd that you have to consider. The people who are thinking, oh, maybe I would like to go to an event. Oh, they sell out instantly and I have to be there on the dot at 7 p.m. on this date, or I don't get one.
It also has
Rob
a knock
Schilling
on
bought a quarter of the tickets already.
Rob Schillinglaw knows what he's doing.
It also has a knock-on effect because a lot of people then end up buying tickets and they're going, oh, I may be able to go to this event, but I need to buy the ticket now. And then it actually causes issues for the TOs down the line when then a month before the event, 20 tickets get refunded.
That is Ashley Walker.
That is me.
That is Ashley Walker.
I'll totally admit it. That's me. I've got. Thing is, if you don't buy a ticket, you'll never get one. So you have to buy it, and then if in the rules pack it says you can get a refund up to a month, buy it, and then if you can't go, but
essentially all of these changes are to try and alleviate those issues a bit or encourage that.
The whole like reserves kind of system and everything. Obviously, it isn't like official thing, but obviously that's what most events do. Yeah, it seems like a ball ache for TOs to manage. Like
and each one does it differently and stuff like that. So like for the league finale, actually, tickets are still available. But it's, I'm going to be head TO for league finale.
God help us all.
So Ash, if you want favourable decisions in the run-in,
maybe I should get down on my knees a little bit.
Classic Ash Walker.
that's why he shaved.
Right, moving on. So that is the first change. So next up is the changes to the points. So next year, GBHL hundreds are going to have like the scaling points. Just like 90s and 80s. Any thoughts on that, Ali? Why was that?
Now this, Elliot, is tippable.
So essentially this is actually how it used to work way back when. So like in the first era of GBHL,
in the Stone Age, when you were just first calling out of your cave.
Even when I was a newbie, like and like 18 and going to like these events. So so originally changed because back then it kind of didn't matter the size of the event. You were always gonna be like if you won I can't talk today.
Expectatable one.
You won.
Me when I won.
God, how many events have you won recently?
I've won a lot. No. If you ran or won, I can't even remember what I was saying now.
Oh, this is brilliant.
Oh dear, derailed.
Keep talking, please.
We're talking about the scaling points.
Yeah, so basically, if you won an event, whether it was 32 players or 28 or 40, it kind of was always going to be the same 5 people finishing in the top 5. So it wasn't really just because you finished second at one, you didn't necessarily, in a lot of people's opinion, deserve more points just because there were more people at that event. Now it's a bit more of a different story because it's with larger events. it's harder in theory to win those events, or not necessarily win, but finishing fourth is more of an achievement than it possibly is finishing fourth at a 32-man event, for example. Like it's not an exact science, but that's a general prevailing thought at the moment. Equally,
I like it.
um, at the moment we're in a situation where there's a lot of ties in terms of their top four scores, and we've still got a third of the season to go. And having that as a tiebreaker almost essentially means that you can differentiate between your players a little bit more, rather than just going, for example, actually, even for the team scores, once you've capped out, like a lot of players may cap out winning the 90s, and they may not have realistic expectations like Elliot of ever podium at 100, but but actually you could
Put that
finish,
gun back, Ali.
yeah, you could finish fourth or fifth at like 100, and then you can actually increase your score. So there's a
God,
means
if
there's a bit more
only.
to play for. It will have some effect if it means that 90s in certain regions may be slightly devalued, because say you're in the southwest, which has like 3 events, which is 70 plus players, the 90 may not be worth quite as much. But then actually in other regions, which like the Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Republic of Ireland region, because their events will still probably be smaller, the 90 is still actually valuable there. So it kind of actually works and scales quite well to keep 90s appropriately relevant within the regions. Yes, Ash.
I came to you and asked for this change ages ago, and you were like, "Oh well, other people have had similar thoughts." Because it just seems like winning a 90. We've been to 90s and won 90s. There have been only 18 players, and then to get the same amount of points, 90 points, as coming third at, for example, City of Kings or Into the West, where there could be 100 players, seems just not reflective of the points. Don't reflect the difficulty that it took to actually podium at that event. So I personally think this is a positive development, and will lead to more competitive scoring league
It,
positions.
it also meant, because one thing that we kind of been, because we introduced GBHL 90s for the first time this year, so we're kind of keeping an eye on how they worked, to help differentiate what we are now defining sort of. So GBHL 100 would be your national competitive level event. Then GBHL 90s are sort of your standard regional competitive event. And then 80s are more your just weird, wacky out there events like battle companies or like Seven Stones and stuff like that. So it's kind of there going. It can solidify 90s as your sort of normal like competitive event, and we can keep that sort of minimum capacity for a 90 at 18 without actually compromising the competitive nature of the National League, but it's still relevant for regional leagues.
Yeah, I think it's a really good change. Yeah. Any more views from anyone on the scaling points now?
Big fan.
I've always personally thought that, yeah, this is exactly how it should be. Because if you, it's like the Into the West one, where I don't know if the examples would have been used, but if you come fourth there, should that be worse than coming third at a 24 player GBHL 100? Which obviously
Depends if
much
I finish
less
third at that GBHL 100 or fourth at the Into the West.
well, we know you're always finishing first, Ali. So
just in your heart.
just in my something.
Yeah, so it's a really solid change, which I'm sure is being well received by people in the community. So next up we have the national rankings is including 6 best scores now, rather than just the top 4.
So yeah, this kind of comes from, once again, because we've had quite a few ties, but also because this year I think we're going to have over 100 GBHL events, which is insane when you think. So when I first took over as league coordinator, we had, I think, 16 events in a year, something like that, tops. And it started with like one a month was a great sort of target, like when the league started. So it's ridiculous. But it does mean now there are enough events for a lot of people to, if they want to compete in the National League, go to one event every 2 months, which is a fairly doable thing. Most people can get to 6 events within under sort of 2 hours drive. So we're able to increase that to your best 6 scores now. One of the other things is it means those who are going for the National League will have to probably compete outside their region, because where each region will looks like at the moment we're kind of still accepting applications for the schedule for next year. But each region will have probably 4 GBHL 100 events. So if you want to compete in the National League, you will need to do 6 scores. So you'll probably have to go to at least 2 events outside your region. And so you'll be mixing with other players to compete nationally. So it's not like you can have one person just win their 4 regional events and then never play the other person who's won their 4 regional events. So you are competing against all the other top players.
I think this is an interesting one because I generally play in like East Anglia, which doesn't have many events. If you compare it to like the rest of the UK, it's similar number of events probably to like Scotland, except far fewer players. And the players that come, we've had 100, and it was pretty much, I think it was 17 of the top 20 were there, which was bizarre because a lot of local players didn't want to go just because it was 100. What I find interesting is, do you guys think that 6 best scores means that people will travel more across the country to the 100 that's happening in, say, Inverness?
No, I don't. Well, I mean, I don't see why they would. Like, nothing's changed. Like, if the reason people say we in the South Coast wouldn't go to Scotland is because it takes a fucking age to get there, and unless you're flying, like you might have to take time off work to get there, and something people probably won't do if you're going on a Friday or whatever.
But that's from a southern perspective, whereas me
Yes.
now being a Yorkshire lad living in Sheffield,
But that's kind of like
it may encourage me to go to Scotland instead.
But you would go anyways because
That's,
like
yeah,
that's like me going to say Cardiff. That's a 3-hour drive or whatever.
the people that
Might
are
be a
going to
3-hour
go
drive for you.
are still going to go anyway.
It's,
I think.
similar.
So it's not necessarily to encourage people to go to more events. This one, it's more because the thing is, in this, especially England, like there's such a wealth of events. Like you can go basically anywhere. It's just essentially for the people competing in the National League, which usually, if you look at it, is about 20 or 30 people.
Yeah.
Sort of by the time the year comes around, it's giving that extra sort of way of differentiating the rankings, because we are this year seeing a lot of stacking of people on similar scores.
Does the previous change we just spoke about, being the hundreds going linear down, so you might win 98 points, 96, does that not semi-fix the whole getting tiebreakers, people being on 380 points, does that not kind of do it in itself?
Oh yeah, so this one's more though going, so it's less, so it's kind of twofold. Like it's not just addressing one issue, but it's there going. It stops the thing of where people can never play other people, if that makes sense, and compete for the
Okay, so
National League.
you want the more mix.
Yeah, so because it is representing the national rankings, so
Yeah.
in theory you cannot just remain in your own region, which there's a own competition for.
But do people remain in their own region when they're trying to win?
Oh no, it's a sort of future-proofing things, right? Because we generally did discuss about whether there should be 5 instead of 6.
Yeah.
And then we actually, I can't remember all the stats, but Dave Clubley looked at it back and see what would have made a difference in previous seasons and stuff like that. And in the end, it was kind of there going, well, if we go 5 this year, we're actually just going to have to go 6 in a future year anyway. So we just jumping straight to 6 made sense. Yeah. So best newcomer is also going to your top 6 scores. So previously, national was 4, newcomer was only 3. And I kind of pointed out halfway through the year, saying, we could have a situation where someone could win best newcomer and not actually be the best newcomer in the national rankings. And it's like, oh yeah, we should probably change that. And I don't know if it's still the case, but there was a situation at one point in the year where that was looking possible. So it just makes sense to have like the best newcomer be the best newcomer in the national ranking, so it matches that.
That is the point.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then regional rankings have gone to your best 4 scores because every region now has enough events for people to be able to go to 4 events during the year. Really, and that's kind of sort of sums up that one, going 4 scores.
Yeah, those changes all make sense, I think. Any thoughts from anyone on those about the regional and the best newcomer?
I like that it's going up to 6 players' best 6 scores, because I do feel like 4 this season is a little bit crowded. The more scores, the better, really, because it proves you have to be a better player across even more events.
Yeah, you can't just fluke a winner with like one list at 3 events.
Hell yeah, you can't. You have to fluke it at 6.
Well, with the amount of events you guys go to, that's probably still possible. But you know,
Most events out of any team in the GBHL?
Elliot, when was the last time you won an event? How many events have you been to?
What's
your
your
KD?
Time. I cannot.
What's your KD?
What's your KD? Events to wins.
Oh,
Sorry, Elliot.
So that is going to do it for that sort of change. And then down here there are other rules for TOs that will change. Anything that's worth discussing, Ali? There.
probably not. I'm trying to think. It's like little things just around sort of either advice to do with like how the complaints process will work.
What you do if someone
TOs.
punches a table.
I think the minimum points of an event can be changed slightly.
Minimum. What was the minimum?
I think it was 401.
Minimum.
I think that's now 400.
Oh wait, sorry. So the minimum points for an event is that
the GBHL 100 event. So like it's where like there's we've more clearly defined to TOs what will constitute a GBHL 100, a 90, and an 80, just to help give better guidance. So you pitch the event you want. So like Adam mentioned earlier, like some events may not want to be the national event that attracts 17 people from the top 20. And they may want it to be a competitive but local event. And then so there's a more clear idea of, okay, that should be this type of event. Really. So it's kind of guidelines around that and sort of things for TOs more than players.
The
GBHL in general is just quite an amazing construct that you guys just sort of, 1,000 years ago decided we're going to create a league, and now organically it's grown to what, over 1,000 players or whatever?
So this year we've had now over 1,000 players.
So
I think there's only been 2 weekends since the first event which didn't have an event on it anywhere in the country.
That's just great, isn't it?
And I think we've had about 80 events so far this year.
Wow.
And you guys have been to nearly all of them.
We love this game.
We're in England. And well,
is that the qualifying factor actually to be a Gollum's gamer? You have to commit to a minimum of 10 events in a year.
He's just not part of the team. Otherwise.
Are you mad? We've got 2 gamers that commit to 0 events.
Yeah, that's just to bring your average down to 10.
Oh yeah, true.
Otherwise, yeah, it'd be too much.
Yeah, but can we hear it first, right here, right now, live? Is Ali King joining the Gollum's Gamers next season?
Lock it in.
If he says yes, it's documented. Look at his little nervous eyes. We'll play badminton with you more times.
But Sam doesn't want to lose at his actual sport to someone who doesn't play
it's
it.
Not his
only played it once
sport.
in 10 years.
Actual sport.
Sam can't
Ali,
play.
We'll say that you're better than Ash at badminton if you join. There we go.
I mean, I don't mind being worse than Ash at badminton.
We'll say you're better.
That is the truth. You are worse.
Yeah,
but
unless we're playing first to 7.
Yeah, for the first time we play.
We'll give you some gas.
So stop obfuscating. It is time. What's your call?
Lock it in, Ali.
I have to be apolitical as the GBHL league coordinator. And,
Boo
May-
hiss.
Yeah.
maybe next year. Do you actually want a sort of? Most of you probably know it anyway, but like breaking news story.
No,
Uh,
tell us.
I will be standing down as GBHL league coordinator this year. So this is
Heard it here first, folks.
I knew that.
apart from everyone I've told in person already.
So what? How would you apply to become?
So there will be national elections for the.
Oh,
I don't know why I said national. It's kind of, but the GBHL management committee. So the whole committee is up for re-election. So their terms are 2 seasons. So we're now at the end of the second season essentially. So in October, all of the positions will be up for re-election.
If I can elect Ashley Walger for president.
I am actually gonna endorse right here and right now Duncan Stacey Marks for Supreme Leader of the GBHL.
Now, don't you have to have been a TO in order to be on the committee?
No, not all ones. Just give me a second.
Oh, fair enough.
Oh, dear.
But I think that's going to do it really for the news and yeah, everything that's included in that.
Somebody who would actually represent the Gollum's game as well in a committee position would be ours truly, Adam, down there, being very
stab you
quiet,
in the back at the first opportunity.
being very dubious. I feel like he'd make a good committee
him and
member.
Vince have been planning like a takeover for the
A
whole year.
coup.
Yeah. But you don't have to be a TO to stand for most of the positions. Usually the regional reps and the league coordinator would be because you're kind of representing the TOs. And having knowledge of how events ran is quite favourable to get elected in those positions anyway. But like Harry, I think, so the marketing PR coordinator hadn't run an event when he first stood.
And he's
quite
been
a few people hadn't.
He's been great at doing the marketing.
Yeah, that's why I'm on here. No.
Yeah.
Harry's
don't
just
get
brilliant.
his dulcet
Harry's just
tones.
brilliant for the hobby, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a great advocate.
He doesn't say WAN or whatever it was that I did.
No, he's much more buttoned up.
Well, he is BBC trained.
He's a proper human being.
Yeah. Like us mongs.
Yeah, not suitable for this podcast.
No. Yeah. Okay. I think that's going to do it. Let's move on from the news to more current affairs. I don't know how far we are.
Oh!
But
Transition.
we are going to start discussing the current rankings in the GBHL. So for the audio listeners, this might be a good time if you're on Spotify to look at the video section because we have the rankings up on the page. And in the top 5, we have 2 Gollum's gamers.
Let's go.
Which is pretty typical.
I was trying to remember who the second one was. I was just like, there you go.
Well, it's not me. Come on.
You don't say.
So yeah, what are thoughts on current league positions at the moment?
Well, I think Jake's first, and I think Farmer's second, and I think Ashley Woogler is third, and I think Jakob Cockmore is fourth, and I think JHR is fifth.
I am.
That's for the audio listeners.
Well done.
So yeah, Elliot, do you want to read out for the audio listeners the points so you can tell how close it is?
Oh, as in at the top, yeah. So
just say first, second, go down.
So we have Jake and Farmer in the first and second position, who are both on 395 points in total. Then we have Ash, yours truly, with 390, and then we have Jakob and Jay, shout out Jay, tied on 380 points. So that is the top 5 are split by 15 points, which is all 100 placings.
Jay and Jakob and Jake and Farmer are both coming down to their 5th or 6th score, and usually who's got more podiums to split who. So actually, Farmer and Rawson are their 7th
split
score.
On their 7th score.
So
that's
when we're talking
insane.
Actually about like we're going to 6 next year, they would actually
still need to go
be
to their
tied.
7th.
Yeah, but because of where we're changing also the 100 scoring, that hopefully shouldn't be a situation next year.
If it was done on average points per tournament, Farmer and Rawson would be flipped, but I'd still be third.
Yeah, but also Farmer would have stopped going to events like 6 months ago when he like had an average of 95 or something like that.
So for the audio listeners, Farmer and Rawson's sixth score is 95 for them both, and then Rawson has a seventh score of 90, where Farmer's is 89.12. So they're separated by their seventh score by what, 0.88? Yeah.
Oh.
On the spot.
When I come and fluke another 100 and then go above both of them, they're going to be really upset.
Oh, it would be kind of funny though, but yeah.
That'd be fucking hilarious.
I only don't need to be split by any scores, just at fluke 4 wins, and then get there.
Yeah.
Can we shout out to Ali King, who is in 7th place
with only 8 events attended?
Yeah, I think 1 or 2 of them were at 90 as well. Check out my 4th score though, considering I managed to get to the top 10.
That is pretty juicy. 79.
Oh,
Yeah.
you've got
Remarkable.
scope to advance.
Yeah, I mean my aim this year, because I'm where I'm running league finale, is I was never looking to sort of finish top 3. Is basically put myself so I still qualify for the Masters next year.
Yeah.
So and I'm pretty sure after Worcester I've now achieved that, unless if something
Talking of
spectacular.
Masters, this beautiful Excel spreadsheet has a season summary function. If you'd like to click on that, Master Elliot, and we can see the current Masters invitations as they stand. So we have 3 Gollum's gamers currently in positions to be invited to the Masters. Last year we had 4, so we have James has let the team down, so we need to
4 by technicality.
So James needs to get up there, get up in there.
You're saying Elliot can't?
No, Elliot can't.
But Adam.
I actually go to. I'm actually 15th. After
so you're quite close, to be honest.
Second place last week. I need to win either a 90 or like podium at 100.
Or you need to. Which region do you compete in, Adam? Is it Southeast?
Southeast, yeah.
So if you can get yourself up in the Southeast ranking, you can qualify that way as well.
But Ali, this isn't how it worked last year, was it not? With the Masters invites and stuff.
Is more or less. So there's additional regions this year that weren't there last year. So we've now got North England and Southwest and Southeast are split. And also the way that it works, it kind of did work this way last year. But so it's the top 10 from the league. The highest placing podium person from a regional league. So if it's who hasn't already qualified. So for example, in Southwest at the moment, Dewey's in 3rd place in the rankings for the Southwest. But
who's first?
But yeah, because me and Ash are in 1st and 2nd. Dewey then gets offered the spot, but it wouldn't go beyond the top 3 in the regional rankings.
So what if those?
Okay.
What if
that's interesting?
What if the top 3 in a region are in the top 10?
Then it will go back to the national rankings, and that. So,
I like that.
So it would then basically go to the person in, let's just say, 13th for argument's sake.
That's really fair, because it means if there's an easier region, then
yeah. So it makes sure that each region is represented.
Yeah.
But also you are getting the best players in the GBHL.
No, I like that. That's a good system there. I think we should comment on how Dewey Evans is currently top of most sporting. Not quite sure how that's happened, Dewey. Who you had to bribe to give you most sporting votes, sir?
Hey, I got runner-up of most sporting at Mark Kempster's event when I took Dragon Emperor with axes on acolytes and that.
Dewey just ran over people with great beasts, and everyone was like, "Yeah, I love that. That was great."
Gameplay experience.
Yeah, it's called Stockholm syndrome.
Run me over harder.
Shout out to Adam though as well, coming in the top 10 for most sporting.
And he's so sporting, he doesn't even use the free ticket he gets for like half of those events.
Yeah, why didn't you come to Worcester? That was a poor performance from you, Mr. Sirens.
Just too many events.
No such thing in a Gollum's Gamers.
I was going to say, that's not our way. What are you on about?
Sorry, yeah.
Not the way of Gollum's Gamers. Come on. Speaking of the Gollum's Gamers, we may as well move on to the team rankings.
Do we have to?
So
Hooray!
currently, Gollum's Gamers in the 3rd position at the moment. So for the audio listeners, so it's in the first spot we have the Guardians from Distant Lands. That is not the true Guardians, just put that out there.
The
Then we have,
Guardians do we should have recruited.
then there's the Seven City Crusaders in 2nd place, followed by ourselves in 3rd, and then the actual Guardians way down in the 4th spot.
Way even
Way
beyond.
down.
What were you,
Beyond
15
the
points
vision.
behind?
And then moving down we have Any Heroics in 7th, Team Atomic in 8th, close race between them. And yeah, so we have made it in the top 3.
We are officially the first team to ever attend 100 events in a season, and we're only 9 months through.
Pretty
That
nervous.
shows dedication,
What's
and
the
we
one
only have
even on
7 competing members of the team.
Imagine you have like
Yeah.
another 14 from Jack and Ollie. That's another
Yeah.
that'd be criminal. 130 in the
So we've on average between the 7 of us been to 14 and a half events on the 9 months.
The fact, as I said, like even when you go 2 of your players have not been to events, you're over 10 on average per player.
It's pretty
The
difficult.
fact also that our average points per tournament are better than 7th City Crusaders. Because you'd think the more events you
To
go
be
to, the
fair,
more
ours
likely you
are
are.
as well. So,
Yeah. So if we did average, we'd be 2nd.
So what we're saying, the 7th City is massively overrated.
Yeah. What are they doing? What we need to do is look where we can improve as a team. And I think those. So
If you go further right, I think it actually tells you who
Yeah, it does.
scored.
Yeah.
What.
Well, we need to go the whole way down.
I know you were there with Gollum's Gamers.
Wait, this bit.
No, scroll down a little bit.
Down here. That's where I was going. Down here.
Had it.
Yeah.
So Sam has currently given us 2 90s. I've
Not
given
bad
us
performance.
2 hundreds. Jack out there providing a 26. Let's go! We've got. So James is currently providing nothing for the team, the little scoundrel, as he's only got 80 and 75. Ollie, who will hopefully be making a incredible returnance. Oh no, I've caught Ali syndrome.
Oh
Oh no. An incredible return at the finale. And now I think we've got here our biggest potential to improve with Mr. Elliot Shillinglaw. Both scores
We'll comment.
consistently.
Yeah, how
at
did you manage to get
82.
82.89?
Incredible.
It's just ridiculous.
That is incredible from me.
It's incredibly nervous
It's
from
incredible.
Elliot.
They've managed to.
You are like the most average person like
They've-
in the
they've-
world.
They've managed to hang around at the back end of our rankings for quite some time, and I don't know how.
Can I just say, like, Elliot, you are the equivalent of a Rohan warrior when it comes to like sort
Do I
of
get a shield?
player.
Do I get a shield?
You have to draw it first with all of like for your new work job, like Ash did.
What we need is if Elliot and where's our other? Yeah, so Vince is really not pulling his weight at the moment.
He's not a big guy though, so he hasn't got much weight to pull.
If we could get a 90 from Elliot, which is definitely possible, and a 90 from Vince, which if he doesn't take, what was that person model he took as his leader? I've forgotten already.
Frida
She was so
Tolston.
bad.
Read
What,
it.
Frydan?
Frydan.
No, Frida.
I think Frida, yeah.
Frida.
So Adam, if you could potentially coach Vince, and
Like, he takes Saruman, like, so he loves taking Saruman, Lurtz, and Gorolf, which actually is pretty good, but...
Yeah, if you get a points level event that works.
Well, yeah, so 795 coming up at G-Boot. 3 full warbands. I think he'll do all right. I think he'll do pretty well.
if he comes up against Witch King Sully, which I think we'll get onto in a minute as we go back onto the top players and sort of talk about what they're currently using. If he uses that right, then Saruman does blitz through.
What is your 10th score though?
So Elliot's
my 9th and 10th. Sorry,
Are
our
you
9th
9th and 10th?
scores, yes. are
Elliot is 9 and 10.
So
and I
you're
have
gonna
been for
need
months.
a top 10 finish, probably higher.
Yeah.
Because I got 82.89, one of those two, when I came 6th at Bicester, but there weren't many players. But how many
40
players-
event, 40-ish.
Yeah.
Was it? I think it was less than that.
It's
I think
40.
Can we go back and just see how many points we are behind 7th City, so we can sort of see how we can make our
we are,
moves?
what,
So,
17,
like 2
16?
months ago, 7th City, Gollum's games, and the Guardians were all within like 5 points of each other.
Yeah.
It's not gone well for the Guardians since then. That's all I'm saying.
Well, didn't
Like,
they?
shall I tell you what
Didn't
happened?
City come first and second at Ardicon. So that
Yeah, but Jake had already maxed out
yeah,
because he came first, but Jasmine getting second was quite
Yeah.
a big jump because they had a couple of 80s.
So yeah, their lowest score is only
And
85.
the other one was Matt Light got second, and Ed got another podium at
Wolfslayer.
Josh. Yeah, Wolfslayer.
yeah. The East Anglia event that had loads of Northerners, Midlanders.
Yeah, I was about to say they're all Southerners to me now.
Oh.
Do you live on Hadrian's Wall?
More or less. I've gone so far north. I'm pretty sure I could like get to the Shetland Isles just on a casual walk.
Yeah.
No,
So
that event was really hard. Like 17 of the top 20 at how many players were there? Like 40, 50?
It was about 50, yeah.
I mean,
That
it
is
was
incredible.
it wasn't too difficult.
And actually, ironically, Ardicon, the biggest and most competitive event in the world, I think had 4 of the top 20 there, like in the GBHL.
Yeah.
It's only just become a GBHL event again, and it was sandwiched between Worcester and Wolfslayer.
I think
But it's quite funny, sort of, when you like had Wolfslayer immediately, like before, had 17, like, and like
it's
in
just
the
because
stacked event
Ardecon's
in
so
the little,
expensive.
like,
you know?
yeah, it is part of the issue.
I like that it's 100 points though, because I think
Yeah,
an
yeah.
event that has that many players should
And
be
also
up there.
next year, I keep on bringing up league stuff, but if you finish 4th at Ardicon, you'll get 98.5 points or something like that. If
Yeah.
it's a 200-man event. So
Pretty
it's
much.
actually going to be probably a lot more incentive for people to go to Ardicon next year.
Well, when you
There
see
you go,
us,
James Clark. If you watch this, there's a plug for you.
when you see all of us at Ardicon next year, that
Yeah,
you'll know why.
You'll know why.
Yeah.
So we can basically close the gap on 7th City, if some of us players who are holding the
Because
team
you've
back
actually got more wins.
a little bit.
Yeah,
It's
so
just
we're on
they've
4
got
wins. We've had
you've
no
got no
second
seconds.
places.
Top
Yeah.
400s, yeah. One of only 2 teams? Oh no, sorry. Well, Distant Lands have what?
And the other
5
interesting
teams?
thing is you, out of the top 4 teams, actually have the lowest 9th and 10th score.
So we've got the most chance to sort of grow.
But does that mean your team's top heavy and you're just like relying on?
Yeah, you're relying on big players like me
Just
to
wait
sort
until
of
the
pull
scores
us up.
get boosted. We'll talk then.
Yeah, whereas the Guardians team, on the other hand, like our
They've
average
got-
is quite good across the players, but I'm the only one, along with a Rogue Wiggins second place, who's hitting the really big points. Because David
So-
Clubley is who
MIA.
was meant to get a win or 2 this year, is currently planning on taking what is it, Men of the West Legion for the finale. So it's like we're not expecting more points from him.
That is some big clubly plays.
I have to say it from Clubbers.
So do we think then that it's a foregone conclusion that first place is done? The
Yes.
friends from all over the world are going to
Yes.
So
take that.
I think it's very likely. However, I can see a situation where 7th City overhaul them
I can't.
because they've got players who are capable of winning. So
Their scores.
Jasmine, Ed, Matt Light, and
So-
Dan Entwistle can all get seconds and first, which improves their scores.
Yeah.
And there's a
So
lot of
basically they
events
won-
in their region coming up.
They want like Jasmine to win really because she's got the lowest second score. So like if she wins up,
Or Dan.
or who? Sorry, Dan.
Dan Entwistle.
Yeah.
So they're all players who at some point have won GBHL 100 events, so they've got the ability, but I don't think it's going to happen.
See, what I foresee, and this is only through speaking to the Oracle, is that Sam Grattan is going to go to Ripon this weekend, take home 100 points. He's then going to cancel his wedding or whatever he's doing. Not his wedding, he's whatever you're doing.
I've
He's then
already
going to
sold that ticket.
Yeah, as I say, he doesn't
then
have a
gonna-
ticket for Imps
Yeah.
anymore.
he's then going to run up to Imps, or he's going to attack someone for their ticket. And then within the space of a month, you'll see the Gollum's Gamers be the first team to have 600 wins.
So we still wouldn't know because Sam's got 290s, right?
Yeah, you haven't let me.
yeah, so
you haven't let
you-
me finish my tale.
We
The
jumped
Or-
Oracle's
20.
still speaking.
Are you calling yourself the Oracle?
No, I've spoken to the Oracle.
Oh, okay.
Let's hear it.
His
But
name's
the
Ollie.
Oracle is still speaking.
Ollie Martin has spoken to me.
Is he just off screen?
He's somewhere sort of driving around 100
No.
miles an hour. No, so
I'm just kidding.
Elliot is then out of nowhere going to surprise even himself and take 100, and then we're going to be on 700
I think
wins.
if Elliot won 100, would have to
Cancel
commit
the
like
entire.
an investigation into the circumstances that happened.
Thing is,
The
he could.
review pod.
I think he could do it. I think he's got it in him. He needs a few things to go his way. Like
I just need some-
Everything.
I just need some Ash Walger or Ali Kingluck, and then I'm fucking.
I reckon this is going to be a big claim.
Here we
I
go.
could beat Elliot even if I lost every roll off.
Oh dear.
That's pretty tough.
But you,
I-
never lose the roll off, so we'll never know.
I do.
That's-
It just doesn't matter by the time it gets there.
Elliot, I can see a future for you. I just
Thanks, mate.
I
need
see a
you-
very different future, but
So I'm
I heard he was one that
Oh.
you were kicking out of the team to try and get me in. But
well,
You've got
you're not
2-0
meant.
keep on
Playing.
0 anyway.
Yeah.
You weren't meant to release that sort of information.
oh,
out there.
actually, that would be controversial. I'll join the team if Elliot leaves.
Oh,
You heard it here first.
that is
Uh,
Please
not
take me over as host
typical.
on the Gollum
Ali,
Show.
Ali, what has Elliot done to you? Has he banged your sister or something?
no, he's still one. I don't have a sister, but two, he's still got half
No,
my
you're not.
armies.
They're right over there, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Safe and sound.
Smash them, Elliot. Just break them now.
He
Well-
Elliot is hilarious when he plays me though, because I've never met anyone who complains so much like about everything.
You just trickle the dice towards me, and then they just roll.
Oh, that one at Leon's 90 was the best, where it just skidded.
It just
the little,
rolls
like-
across the entire 48 inches right in front of my face, and it's just the little England flag on the six. GBHL bronze fucking. Oh.
So I think we can be as a team, we can be happy taking third place. I think that's a
Pretty
good
podium.
achievement.
I
from
think you
us.
can put it this way. I think you overhauling Seventh City into second
Is
is
more
more
likely
likely
than
than
first.
Seventh City getting that anyone knocking anyone off the top perch.
Yeah, we've. I'm quite. I can't help anymore. So I'm hoping that we can gain those points.
Because
I would
Adam,
be
what are your
very-
two scores? Are you only contributing one at the
90s.
moment?
Yeah.
No, I've got 2 down there.
Oh, Adam, sorry. I think
So Adam is the 87.95 and the 90. So Adam's
Because generally,
It's-
I can see you and Sam getting a podium 95, maybe like 100 or something like that, and increasing your score. And if you both can do that, it then suddenly becomes really close,
yeah.
I'm only going to one more 100 this year, which is GB.
which you're gonna win.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no.
Oh, Adam, it's a big performance for you,
And-
but you're taking the same list as, or not the same list, but a similar list to my winning streak so far, right?
Well, yeah, I sent my list to you, and then you sent me basically the same list back with 1 extra Serpent Rider and a couple less.
Isn't
runners.
that just the subject of every army review podcast recently with you
That
two
was
on
done.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Adam going, oh, we've got the same list, but Ash's is slightly better. And then
Yeah.
it pans out.
This is a good segue into what the top 10 people, are using. So if we go back,
It's a
That's
good.
also
Do
where
that.
Sam going.
Oh.
I'm bored of this discussion. Can we
Yeah.
move on?
One more
Yeah.
thing. Talking about the scores, if I don't improve one of my 82.89s, I'm going to be disappointed. So there are points in the bag for the
I thought you were
team.
going to say I'm going to leave the team.
Okay. Realistically, just going back to that, I think Elliot, you could definitely improve one of them.
Here's a question.
Definitely
Only
can.
one.
No, I mean
I would
like,
hope he
realistically,
Only
getting
wants to
above-
Realistically, he
improve one.
improves both of those.
Here's a question. If I was in your team, where would you be in the rankings? Because I would contribute 195.
Oh yeah,
we wouldn't have we'd have another.
So you get rid of Elliot's scores. So
Yeah, these-
basically, you may as
34.
well not have him in the team. Uh,
Have another
so
34.
so
Ali,
you-
it's red tonight.
I know. So you would be above 7th City and within touching distance of.
Yeah, we'd be 5 off or something.
I might as well pack my bags then, hey? See you guys.
I mean, you probably
right.
haven't unpacked from all your holidays.
No. Not
Yeah,
yet.
so we'd gain an extra 30 points and then be at 9 behind the top. But that's not what's happened, is it? So
No.
I don't know. Maybe
Um,
late change to the league rules.
Maybe. Moving on then. Yeah, so let's discuss. So the top sort of 5 to 10 at the moment.
Should we start at 10 and work our way down?
We can.
I thought Ash was just leaving. It was like, if we're
No,
not
he
talking
is.
about me to start off with, I'm
Like, what would
off.
we say is the general? what
Well,
we-
I can go through and sort of probably describe what list people have been taking.
It's essentially the grand scheme of things is you either have a Witch King Saladin people, you have that band of players, you then have an Emperor band of players, and then you have the middlemen, and those middlemen either take what they're comfortable with, or they try and
or they just go to Scotland.
potentially, or
So
you take
that as well, Adam.
Can we also
countering.
point out an honourable mention of the person who's not quite in the top 10?
so
Is Mr. Sam Grattan. How
Yeah.
How did
far
we
are
say-
you off the top 10?
7 points.
Now, what you said though about like an Emperor band of players, there isn't really anyone who uses Emperor in the top 10.
Well, you have
So-
Jakob, you have
So Ben
Michael,
Haslam got
Ben.
second and first at the start of the year with Emperor? Or...
yeah. One was Ministerith, one was
Well, one's that, but
he actually didn't take Emperor for his
no, that was the funny thing.
second place at Into the West. He took
Which was only 450 points, so
yeah.
understandable. Not,
Yeah.
but yeah. So Ben did really well at the start of the year, then didn't do many events, and then I think he started doing a couple again and realised that there's a lot of other people who've won a lot of events now. But I think he's going this weekend, and so he may be trying to do a late surge back up the rankings because
Yeah.
he's got
He
a lot
is-
of room for improvement.
He's the only player in the top 10 that isn't from one of the top 3 teams, right?
yeah.
So fair play to him.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting that there just are. I mean, to say that Emperor is like really quite meta at the moment. Like, there's
Wait,
not really.
Did you say
many
the top
people-
3 teams, Ash?
Yeah.
Because I'm not.
Yeah, Guardians.
Sorry. There he is. There's the
Easy
king.
to forget about the Guardians, really.
It's easy to forget about him.
So you have 3/4 people that have used Emperor in that top 10.
So
Only Ali has really like done well with it though.
Well, you've got
Yeah.
Ali, you've got Jakob, and you've
Yeah,
got
So
Ben.
Jakob hasn't won an event this year
He
with
hasn't
Emperor,
won an event with it
or
though.
podiumed with it, I don't
Yeah,
think.
no, I don't think he has. So I think Ali is really the only one.
So actually, this is the weird thing about Emperor. He's got a very big reputation, which is deserved, but he hasn't actually done spectacularly at GBHL 100 yet.
I said.
He
Shut down.
So I've got a theory about this, which we can come to later when we talk about the meta overall. But
What, Jakob? Didn't he win your event?
not with Emperor. He
No,
had
with
like
the Spook.
hero monster mash.
Yeah.
He did the
When he
mash.
took Emperor the other week to the Stone Market event, which is the Shark Tank, I think, what was it, 4 of the top 10 were Dragon Emperor.
Yeah, because there was like.
But
no-
then, if you looked at it further, They were underperforming compared to the Witch King Suladan.
because they all played each other.
But the other thing is, how many Emperors were there at that event?
Yeah, like 9 or something.
9, yeah.
There's 8. Yeah, it was a 5th.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll talk about that, but like the Emperor is a top table army that will get you to the top table, but because you don't have control elements like some of the other lists, it means that you're a lot more reliant on
Roll
right
offs.
missions or roll-offs or
Yeah.
things
So,
going your
so
way.
in our game, Ali, when we played at that event,
I've
I
completely
think
forgotten that one. I don't believe it happened.
you etched it from your memory because we played Assassination.
Yeah, I hate that scenario. It's gone wrong again for me like so often, like recently.
Double one.
Yeah. Anyway,
But Assassination fundamentally is better for my list than it is for your list. So that's the thing. I don't think Emperor, and I definitely don't think Lothlorien have favourable scenarios. I mean, Jason and Rawson both took Lothlorien and came mid to low table because the scenarios were just completely against Loth.
if the game, which is how a lot of people view it when they're talking about this, was just to the death and like about killing, the Emperor is arguably the best list in the game. But
Yeah, because
that's
it just
not how. Yeah, it's not how the game works though at top tables because scenarios are so important, which is why Magic is so good.
Magic is just the best thing in the game,
Yep.
which is actually incredibly interesting because Mr. Rawson, I believe, has won with Arnor, and then Azog's Hunters and Azog's Legion mixed together, right? Those are his top
Yeah.
scores. So he's actually not taken Magic at all and is currently the best player in the GBHL.
There is a reason for that, although I kind of want to talk about other meta stuff before we get to it.
Okay, we'll put a pin in
Yeah.
there.
Go on,
So-
Ali. That's away.
I feel like I'm doing all the talking. Like,
Don't worry, because if it wasn't
You're the
you, it'd
lead
be me.
coordinator. It's your last
Yeah.
year, Ali.
but so yeah, you've got Ben's used Dragon Emperor a bit, -2 a bit. Ivan the first representation of the Irish, although I think Republic of Ireland. He's Ivan takes quite a range of lists. There's like all hero sort of Irish sort of soup kind of thing, like one of the variations of it. But last year he took a lot of Uglot Scouts, which is a very good list. But I think is struggling in the current meta. He can probably correct if we're wrong. But no, he's arguably definitely in the top few players in Ireland. So and if he'd gone to more events, so he's only gone to 8 events, so joined the lowest, it's quite possible he could move up the rankings. There's a few more events he probably will be going to, so he could be a late crack for a top 5, sort of towards the end of the season.
It's a good crack.
Then you've got Ed Ball. Never heard of him. Anyone know who he is?
No idea.
So for those who don't know, Ed's a 3-time GBHL League winner. One of the dominant 2, essentially, in this edition of the game. Famous for his Flying Circus Ring Race on Felby's list, which his style of army is all about control and usually involves something like the Black Riders, Vanquishers, Rivendell Knights, which armies that give you very good control, but I think in this meta are struggling for similar reasons why we kind of touched on the Dragon Emperors. There's a couple too many bad matchups and stuff like that, so you
And
need
he's
the
still-
perfect run of events.
And he's still 8th in the league, so pretty typical.
But even when you do get a perfect run, like when me and him played game 6 at Stowmarket, he had 5 perfect games, even played recon against Black Riders to mitigate one of the negative scenarios. The fact that then he played me at Hold Ground you're right in the fact that there's just too many bad scenarios and bad matchups for
Yeah,
the small control armies to be able to consistently take those events.
if you look at Ed's scores, I think he ended up having 4 or 5, like place finishes, 4th, 5th place finishes this season, because it's always there. Like he's there, and then he'll just not get that one game, or there'll be a roll off that will go against, and those lists at the moment can't absorb that bad
No.
luck like the other ones can. So I'm going to call those armies a 4-2 army, and then his player skill takes it to a 5-1.
It's like
but-
his 100 is with Bjornings, and then
Well, that was good v evil.
yeah.
So it was Bjornings and Black
That
Riders.
Riders, yeah. So
Um,
and then he's had a 4th with Bjornings, and then I guess thirds with Black Riders and stuff.
yeah, so he got 4th at my event, City of Kings with Black Riders.
Yep.
He managed to hold on to 3rd, which is where his slight increase in points came from at Wolf Slayer. But yeah, no, it's if the scenarios or missions can align to it, for those armies, then he can definitely score higher.
Yeah. If you have bad scenarios, it's like, oh, okay, you have to hope something goes really well, or you're playing against another low model count list, because it's just not the one.
No.
So then we move up to Elliot. Can you just scroll left a touch so I don't get it wrong? Is it
What, the-
7th? No, that was right.
Yeah, Ali. Yeah.
There you go. So then we move up.
couldn't see my name there, and we're trying to make a joke or something about it.
No, I just didn't want because I thought you were 7th, but I just wanted to make sure. So, and I'm assuming you don't want to talk about yourself because that would be very sad.
I
So
do that all the time. It's the only reason I
me
come
and
on
Sam will
podcasts.
take this one. So in 7th place, we've got Mr. Alistair King, former winner of the GBHL 2 years ago, known for his dwarfs. However, this year he has taken his only GBHL 100, which he snatched from me the last game of Chippenham on a roll-off. But that's besides the point.
Can we just say,
Didn't you
if
not
I,
have won?
I
was-
won
it
the
wasn't
event
just a
anyway,
roll-off.
even if that roll-off had like gone the other way.
So he took Dragon Emperor, and I think
Controversial list. I remember from a
Controversially-
podcast where I got abused for it.
controversially took Dragon Knights. And am I
on
right
foot.
that it is the only 100 that the Emperor's won
This year.
this year?
Yes.
You are the pioneer of the Emperor.
So the
Dragon Knights on foot list.
And
So
can
the
I
dra-
also point out, Matt Light, when he came second at Wolf's Lair, had 4 Dragon Knights on foot in his 800 point list.
but that was original though, right? He definitely didn't copy you.
Oh, he one-upped me on the Dragon Knights, which is quite funny.
Wow.
So although we talk about Dragon Emperor being when we do our tiers, we often put them in the lemon tier, but it isn't borne out by the data that they are winning hundreds, as the standard build that Elliot takes with Ratabi and Brogear seem to not, haven't won
That's
100
what I
yet.
think we discussed previously, though. I think we were saying that just top players just aren't taking that. That isn't to say that it can't win hundreds, but like we were saying, just there aren't really any players in the top 10 who are using it other than Ali, and obviously Ali's using it a different way.
But
so-
isn't there? Do you think there's a reason that they're not taking it?
It's very, very solid, and it will do well at nearly every event you take it to. But like Ali said, you need that final bit of need dice to go this way, because you don't have options like magic, and you don't have.
Yeah. It's just very cookie cutter
It's very straightforward, but it's straightforward.
I think the reason why people don't take it at the top is because the top 10 players are what you'd call 9 or 9.5 or 10 out of 10 players, right? The Dragon Emperor, for that sort of caliber of player, is not as much a challenge as another type of list is. And I think that the more intellectual, higher level players like to have a challenge that they can really extend themselves with and really punish opponents with whilst having options. And I think your sort of 8 out of 10 player would do very well with the Dragon Emperor. It would really push them to the top limits. But a very, very, very top player maybe could squeak something out of something more.
Just to check,
Cultured.
what number player am I on this
You're in the top
analogy?
10, right?
I think, yeah, Adam, when you say there, yeah, that like the standard, say, Emperor list, there isn't like the potential you can squeeze out of it at the very top end. Like you can only squeeze so much out of it, where there are other lists where you can get more out of it to, boost you up to that sort of next level to win these events rather than just doing well at them.
It's definitely a list that you can take and know you're going to do very well with. But in the important moments in events where you need, again, essentially it's what Ali was saying about control. When you need to get onto that objective, or you need to kill that hero last turn, or you need to do something to win the game, the Emperor can only really just shield wall, outgrind the opponent, as opposed to manipulating the opponent's force, which then allows you to be more likely to win the games.
They can do it to an extent, though.
Shall I tell you what the answer is?
Please.
It's mainly down to player style. So most of the players in the top 10, and I would say there's 2 exceptions, being myself and Jake Rawson, have a particular style they like to play, which does not favour using the Dragon Emperor.
Hmm.
So magic control isn't the only way you can get control in the game.
Okay.
Like, so you can get control by having, for
Lots
example,
of
more
D7
models.
dwarfs.
Oh yeah, no, but it is again, you've got more models on the board. But the way you
Yeah.
have to approach getting that control is different. So magic is a instant reaction control. Like you can go into that last turn and go, if something's gone wrong, you can go, cool, I can black dart that guy off the objective, I can transfix, I can do whatnot. With the
Yeah.
Dragon Emperor, it's a very mobile list. And it's very resilient. So you can get your control, but you have to almost plan it like a turn or two early.
Mm.
And it's more about positioning, which is a different sort of mental
Skill.
challenge and way of playing. It's not necessarily harder or easier or anything like that than it is using magic, but it's very
It's just different.
in the way the
Yeah.
components work and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of the reason why I don't take the normal build that a lot of Dragon Emperor players did, is because I actually think you lose the control that you want to play the game the way that I would play that list, as opposed to the way that some of the other guys in the top 10 may do.
So
And
what do you think?
so it's one of those ones where,
I was going to say, so what's the differentiating factor between yourself and Jake and the rest of the top 10? What's the difference in the way they play? Specifically
me and
Jake, because obviously he's
have,
top of the league.
yeah. So me and Jake have cut our teeth in lists which are like elves or dwarves or stuff like this, which don't have like necessarily the same tricks that evil and that do. And realistically, Easterlings is a hybrid between a dwarf army and an elf army in terms of its resilience and like its elite nature. It doesn't necessarily have the killing power of dwarfs, but then it's got the fight value of elves, but then it's got the numbers on both of them. So it's a natural sort of evolution of the way that we've learnt to play the game. Whereas Farmer has always used like spellcasters like Saruman, even before he was using Witch King and stuff like that. So the Witch King was a natural evolution for how he played the game. Jakob is very much a list builder. He will look at the points of it. He'll rarely take the same list twice. He'll look at the points of the event and decide what is the best list for that. And so part of the reason why Jakob hasn't taken Dragon Emperor and done well of it this year is because there also haven't been the points levels he's deemed it to be optimum at until Wolf Slayer. So you may start actually seeing more Dragon Emperor lists now the points have gone up, because Jakob openly says that he doesn't think the Dragon Emperor is very good below 750 points. Like there are better lists out there, and he's probably right.
He's not wrong. Yeah,
because especially the way that he is approaching the list, for him, he's there going, well, if I want the 3 heroes and the numbers and sort of that stuff, I need at least 750 points.
Yeah, you don't get it below 750, really.
Yeah, so that can also be an influencing thing. Jay's just a maverick. He'll either take us on Helm's Deep or something crazy.
Jay's 300s this year have, sorry, 200s this year have been Assault on Helm's Deep, just
Yeah. And
blasting people to death. Which
that,
I'm interested to see where he pivots to now,
well,
considering.
I still think you should take it. The army list hasn't actually lost much of its ability in the current nerf. It's more of a perception of it. The ballistas may be less reliable, but it's still like very good.
Incredibly
And
good.
Jay is
Yeah.
a good enough player; he can still get a win with it.
Yeah.
And because he's the only one that I haven't actually really mentioned, Michael Bradford. So he got most success with AOL this year, which has obviously had its own changes. I
So
haven't
on the
seen what
changes to AOL, do you think that is gonna critically destroy that list, or do you still think it's
I mean,
gonna be winning?
Kylie won the
Yeah.
Article Masters with AOL. I still think the list is very good.
There you go.
It's just it's probably weaker at lower points now than it was, because part of the thing was, especially when you got lower than 650, was just there going, you're still putting down 60 models, which and have all these tricks. Now you have to choose between tricks or the model count. But I still think it's a very solid list, and like I think people will realise in a couple of months go, oh, you know what, I can still win events for this list, and like
Yeah.
they start taking it again once they've gotten over the sort of
They've gone
shock,
over
as
their
it were.
tantrum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Ali, you were going through the players and giving your 2 cents. Did you want to carry on with that, or?
Well, did we finish with the breakdown of
Well, we were talking about
the 7th player there?
Yeah, we were talking about you. So
actually, this is going to sound weird. I actually, when I got second with I'm going to call it Army of the Lonely Mountain, Lord of the Rings era dwarfs at the event a couple of weeks ago, I actually felt that list was better than the Dragon Emperor army. But there was a specific set of scenarios and that which meant that it was all right. But equally, that list is better into the current meta. But Dragon Emperor's better at scenarios, so there's always these things sort of like to look at. In terms of my actual like prospects for the year, I've kind of like I will always take a semi-competitive list, but for example, this weekend I'm taking a Army of 4 list I wouldn't normally take because it's got the 3 big heroes and a captain at 700 points. But I'm kind of doing it for fun.
Pretty
But,
chat.
but I'm there
Yeah,
going,
when Sam sent me your list, I was like, why doesn't he just remove one of them and get like
40 models basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is usually what I would do. But I was like, you know what? I haven't used them the 3 at event. I'm expecting, because it's 7 games, to lose 2. But I'm also there going, I could like get lucky, win 6, and then sneak a podium. But because I'm not fully going for the league, it's basically I like to play competitively and try and win, but I'm not full on going for it.
You're
Now
not
I'm
overly
kind of in the
precious
place that
about it.
I'm happy with this season. But yeah, and so yeah, I may be doing a revisit of some of my old classics list, which I haven't taken in a certain way, just because like
You mean
previous
Eagles?
years when I've been committed.
I
I don't have them with me. I don't have them with me, otherwise I may take them. But
as long as you don't need your black nuns, then that's fine.
yeah, like they're like in permanent, like sort of
Elliot's
length.
taken them and said,
I'm a hoarder.
these are mine now.
So I have.
Yeah, I need to make sure I get them back after 2 years, so you don't claim them as like
So
legally
just
yours.
literally within a hand's distance, I have some of Ash's models and some of Bert's models.
If you haven't noticed,
models?
if you haven't noticed, viewers, Elliot is a little scoundrel and has decided to, as he just showed you, a Saladin and a Serpent Rider, and he's talking about stealing Ali's
He's
Black
borrowed.
Nuns.
Was it 2
It's
or
as
3
if he's just
different
tried to
whole
borrow
armies of
the
mine
best
so far?
current list and then just win with it,
Well, I have Ali's
which
Black
he has
Nuns.
failed to do.
Ali's Black Nuns here.
You borrowed my Rohan
And then I
throwing spear guys earlier in
I
the
saw
year.
Rohan. Did I have anything else? Oh, I was going to use your dwarves, but I never did. Adam's lending me some Harad stuff. Vince is lending me some Goblin Mercs.
I wish, Elliot, that me and Sam have said this a few times. If you just stuck to one list and
Yeah.
then actually mastered your play style, then you
Yeah,
might
but then
actually.
when he doesn't, it's gonna be really embarrassing.
I know,
Have
but
to,
it's. I think have you you've got to sort of. I'll let you weigh in on this, Ali. Do you think that practicing repetitively with a list to master how that list works is more important than taking
Yes,
the current best list?
yes.
Yeah, 100%.
But what if you're you? So, for example, my two most used armies this year are Emperor and Witch King Sully. So I've used them at multiple events.
Yeah, but you're not. There's a difference between using them multiply and then jumping between lists and not playing that list in every situation
Consistently.
it could do as well.
Yeah.
So I played just because it's easy, like dwarfs at every single points level imaginable with pretty much every variation. And against nearly every army. So I kind of know what is the likelihood of things happening and what I need to do in certain situations because I've been in every situation with it. And Ash will be the same with his Witch King Sully and stuff like that. So it means that your judgment is going to be better, even if your list isn't. And at the end of the day, the judgment is the more important thing for me than the list, because list is going to have like, I'd say 30% impact on your result at an event, whereas your actual judgment will be 50% and luck will be 20. Is the way I sort of split it.
Can I just? That's a really good point, Ali. But I will say, Elliot, did you say Vince is lending you Goblin Mercs?
Yeah, like 4.
They're not
Adam's
even.
triggered.
No, but they're not even his.
They not. I thought he was painting them all though. I saw him painting them on the pod.
No, they're Jason's.
Oh,
Classic
I only thought they were
Vince.
his. That's why I asked Vince. But
so tappable.
Tappable.
I love how this is just how people are going to find out where their models are.
well, I totally didn't know that. So Jason,
Well, I mean, borrow away. I mean, Jason won't mind, but
Jason does listen to the pod, so
he'll find out.
hopefully I can use your mercs. But yeah, no, I'm not necessarily like, yeah, I think if you use the same list a lot, like Ash, how you've used Witch King Sully for a long time and you're doing really well with it. Like, yeah, obviously there's a lot of credit to that, and obviously, yeah, like you learn a lot about the list. I don't think I've used that many lists. Like, yeah, I don't know. Sam, you've probably used more different lists than me this year.
But not
So
recently.
what I've currently got just from the casual games that me, Sam, and James have logged on Longshanks, I have played 44 games just with Sam and James. Most of that time using Witch King Sully, and that's not in competitive scenes. That's just practicing at all points levels in all scenarios against Sam and James. And
The depressing thing, that's probably almost just a little bit lower than the amount of games I've played this year.
Well, that's
tournaments.
the casual games that we've logged on Longshanks, not this year.
I think
So what you mean is a lot more than that.
Yeah, no. So that's all the casual games we've played since we started using Longshanks. So about a year and a half, I guess.
Well, isn't it on a 12-month cycle, Longshanks?
Yeah.
Well, if it's on a 12-month cycle, then
Yeah, we played more
it's
than
12 months.
We played way more than 44, Ash. Way more.
Anyway, let's go on a tangent.
Anyway, back to the King's opinions. So we were moving on from you to go on
So
to
Michael and AOL getting nerfed, and I still think it's competitive. People
Yeah.
are just gonna take a while to remember. Michael, like, what's his points level like at the moment? I think he could get top 5, but I don't think he's going to be threatening the top 3.
that's good to hear.
Just because this is where actually it affects Ivan being able to travel from Ireland to these events is then the handicap essentially. And actually, while I think Michael may have the ability as a player, and I know he's going to watch this, you've got to believe you're a better player because he needs the it's the self-confidence when he goes into games against some of the top dogs. He doesn't believe he will win, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. And that's actually advice to anyone when you face someone who, like your Jakes, your Farmers, your Jakobs, or anything like that. You can beat them. Like,
When you play Ali King at Into the West.
oh yeah, I forgot you beat me then. But yeah, but it's like we are beatable, and all you've got to do is believe. And then if you don't believe, that you're not going to beat us. I've gotten away with so many wins, which I shouldn't have got because the other person just assumed they were going to lose.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's my
The
advice
thing,
for you,
the thing that
Michael.
I've,
Just
the thing that
believe.
I've found is playing the top players a bit more recently, this season, is that they make mistakes quite frequently. And
I don't. I remember you saying that specifically.
yeah, well, we're not counting you as a top player because you're not in the
Yeah,
top
I'm only number
five.
7. Yeah.
No, but when I've been playing the top players, you can see mistakes that they've made, and you've just got to actually believe in yourself and know that that's a mistake, as opposed to what Ali's spoken about a few times, which is people see him do a play, and because he won the league, they just automatically assume that it's very good, whereas he actually is there thinking, oh shit, I've just made a mistake. Really hope they don't counter that with the. So sometimes when you're playing like on the top tables against the best players, when you think they've done a mistake, they probably have just done a mistake. So just try and capitalize upon it.
We're
But yeah.
just better at hiding it in our face.
But
It's
yeah.
it's the main difference. Like,
Trust your instincts.
yeah.
Yeah. If it looks odd, it's probably odd.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Cool. So
Yeah.
moving on from Michael, going up to Jay. So we're now in the top 5, aren't we? I think if Jay keeps on taking Assault on Helm's Deep, he is fully in that mix.
I don't think he
if,
will. I don't think he's going to.
Yeah, I know. I think he's going to be a victim of his own.
Yeah.
I think he will.
So,
I mean, until we see him, yeah, I just. Yeah.
But this way, there's a lot less anti-shooting in recent lists because people aren't thinking people taking AOL or Assault on Helm's Deep. So it's almost like
is it better
playing the meta card by going like the double bluff of going, I will take Assault on Helm's Deep still because it is still fantastic. And he will still win events with it if he went.
It's also in the sense of like, I know, but there was a 90 on the weekend just gone that Ben Haslam took Assault on and went 4-0, and another person went 4-0 as well, so he came second, I think it was. But like, people will just start taking it. I wouldn't be surprised if Ben keeps taking it and does well at these events.
It is just so good. It's such a strong legion, and I know that the ballistas have been nerfed quite substantially with only rerolling ones. But
so how many extra hits do you think you're missing?
So if you
I think it's the hits. I think it's the scatter, isn't it?
It's more just blinding light. Blinding light is actually quite good against it at that point.
Oh yeah, but I mean, as in because people don't think this list is going to come up as much at the moment, until they watch this. But there's less blind light, so even with the nerf, arguably it's then got less counters.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's weirdly gotten stronger, in my opinion. Until like all of your hundreds and thousands of viewers watch this podcast and then suddenly start taking blinding light again.
Because I've only had recent success because I haven't faced Assault on Helm's Deep. What's been stopping me previously in the season is I'd come up against Jay with Assault and he just blast me off the board. Whereas now there's no Assault on Helm's Deep or no AOL, and I'm actually able to just use my list and just beat the opponent because they haven't got mass shooting. But still, if I played Assault on Helm's Deep without the Shadow Lord, I'd get totally destroyed because it's just such overpowering.
It's why Farmer took the Shadow Lord for so long, was because he was there going, I just need to be able to counter Assault on Helm's Deep. That is literally the reason why he took the Shadow Lord, is because he didn't want to face Assault on Helm's Deep and then just get screwed because just got shot off the board.
It will come back 100%. Same, yeah, guaranteed.
What you may find is it's only the sort of top tier players who are podium with it. So like you may not get sort of the group below podium with it as frequently anymore, because it isn't quite as reliable. So it will need a bit more nuance and skill, arguably, when it comes to how to use the
Yeah, to
troops
do well
and
with it.
stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you
But
wanna
no, Jay is coming.
for
Coming.
top 5,
Eh,
top 4? So Jakob next on your top 10 breakdown, Ali.
So Jakob genuinely is the wild card in terms of I could see him potentially even like falling down to 5th, maybe even out of the top 5. Probably not, but I can also see him winning the league because, as I said, he will build a list for an event, and he will usually either turn up to that event and win it or not. Like it's kind of like he's so hot and cold in terms of like how those lists will perform at events. Because usually a lot of the lists will be built specifically to work under those conditions. But if there's a wild matchup or a very bad dice roll, it can then tank the event basically, and then the list falls down. Because I think it's that which he kind of finds quite funny is he's never won a GBHL event by winning every single one of his games, and he's won quite a few GBHL hundreds, but he's always gone into that last round so far ahead that he could lose that last game and still win. And that's because his list that he takes, glass hammers, probably the way that I'd describe it in some ways, is like they are so finely tuned that if one thing can go wrong, and it will do in a 6-game event, it means that he will lose that game or could do risk. Sort of slightly exaggerating, but then the other 5 games he will win 12-0, or 6 games he will win 12-0 because the whole machine just works so well together. And so that's why he will win those events while still losing a game. But then also why he often will not podium sometimes when you think he would do. So to be honest with Jakub, he could win another 2 events. He could also not win any more in the season. So I
He won G Boot last year.
I
at
don't know what
750 points because last year, and which was his,
Yeah,
that is the perfect points for a Dragnet for Legendary Legion in his opinion, and he did
I
go
don't-
and prove it, but he also did lose his final game.
Yeah.
But
He
he
didn't have
was
Ritar B Broad gear.
yeah.
but he was so far ahead he could lose his last game, I think anything but 12-0, and then he would still win the event.
I
Which
think
is
he
what
lost
did.
to Imogen like 3-0. And yeah, it didn't
Yeah.
matter. But it's like I don't know what he would take now. He can take his triple wraith Spider Queen, which is a good list, and he knows how to use it with the triple caster. But his podium was hundreds have been with Army of Lake Town, Gwai here, and the Sloop that won your event, Ali. So
Yeah, which was a specific scenarios were
Yeah.
already selected, so he built a list to win those scenarios.
yeah, which
Um,
at 800 points around there is what the rest of the events kind of are. You got another tiers being 1,000. I will be intrigued to see what he does take for those remaining.
I think Jakub will do well in events like G-Boot, where the size
Exceptional
of your
events.
victory is more important
Yeah,
than the number of victories. Because he won G-Boot last year with that. He won my event, which VP scored, is more important than most events. It's
there's
not
set
just about
scenarios
how
as
many
well.
win. Yeah.
It has 3 guaranteed, and then there's
So
rounds.
put it this way, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins G-Boot this year. Which will put him back in the mix. It's where because he'll need a 4th win realistically, and maybe even a 5th. That I'm not sure with the events that he's going to be able to attend probably, because he's not quite able to go. I think as to the same amount that the top 3 are, but he is still capable of it. So who knows?
And then number 2, we have Farmer.
Yeah, moving on.
Yeah,
Hey,
Farmer's a great player. Takes machines better than yeah.
But Ash, what's your opinion on this Ashley Woogler guy?
Oh, sorry, I fucking missed that. Whoops.
Oh,
So
Oh,
Oh, are they the same
I
person?
Yeah, my bad.
oh,
I
sorry, mate.
quite frankly, don't know how I am third. In the last 4 GBHL events I've been to, I've won 3 of them. Sorry, the last GBHL hundreds, I've been to 4 and won 3 of them. So in
I
the
didn't
space
realize
of
it was actually quite that many in one go.
yeah, so the last 4 I've been to, I've won 3, and I've come from being in the top 10 to out of nowhere, never winning 100 before, and now I've got 3. So
So if you had to put a reason why you think, what's the difference between the last half of the season and the first half? Oh,
so genuinely, it's not playing Assault on Helm's Deep. So I've been I've been to 13 tournaments this year, and I can remember 4 of them that I've gone into day 2, being 3-0, and then played our own Jayachaya and just got blasted off the board by Assault on Helm's Deep, and then not being able to come back from that. Whereas the 3 events that I've won, I haven't played Assault on Helm's Deep at all, and just sort of every little bit of luck that you kind of need to edge your way just seems to have done that at the events that I've been to. So, for example, uh, at Portsmouth, the first one I won, the sap wheel roll off against Dave Farmer. I sapped his wheel better than he sapped mine. I won the game to win the event. Against Ed in Stowmarket, the scenario was drawn, hold ground. I win the priority so that I can. Sorry, he wins priority so I don't get instantly annihilated by all his wraiths. Then I'm able to win the game. And even more luck at Worcester. So Ali, you lost to the Rise of the Necromancer guy, which then allowed me to play him final game at Lords of Battle as opposed to playing you, which allowed me with my list. Shagrat absolutely loves that scenario to just annihilate those wraiths.
I did tell you how good that scenario was
Oh
for you
yeah.
before going in when you
Oh
thought
yeah,
it was
yeah,
an
yeah.
awful
I've
matchup.
I've also been coached. I've also been coached by Ali and Farmer when we've been playing. I've been like, well,
But
what the hell
Farmer's not
do I
going to do that anymore now, I
what the
reckon.
hell do I do here?
You're
He's usually
basically a
right
team
behind.
member. No,
Yeah.
you're basically a team member already by the sounds of it.
Yeah, Farmer's now a little bit worried. But if this because I feel like as Ali said that it's that 20% of luck. I've I play Witch King Sully. I've played over 100 games with it, maybe even 200 games with it, which is incredibly nervous in practice this season and last season. And then so I kind of feel like I make all the right decisions usually, and then it's that
Yeah.
little bit of luck where you get that roll off, you get that matchup, and they've just fallen into my lap the last 3 events. So yeah, if the level of little bits of luck keep going my way, I think I could
You need
potentially get another one.
you need Amy to keep on texting you, really.
Yes, that is actually such a nervous point from Elliot.
You almost said
Uh,
triple then.
I nearly said tippable, but I dissuaded myself. So I hadn't won an event before Amy texted me good luck in my final game, and then the last 3 wins, she's texted me good luck, and I've won all of them. So
So what you're saying is nothing to do with player skill.
nothing to do with player skill, all
Right.
to do with dice luck.
Yeah. I do agree with you. I think the part of the thing is actually like if you say the season as a whole is just a game of SPG, it's you could say Farmer and like maybe Ben and like Ivan, a couple of us had the luck at the beginning of the season, and they haven't had so much luck recently. Whereas you didn't have luck at the beginning of the season, and now you've had more luck recently in terms of
Yeah,
for those fine margins. But equally, I do think it is a meta change has helped you.
Ash's lovely
Playing-
FAQ that came out.
Playing the meta list for 2 years prior definitely gives yourself an edge.
Yeah, because I think that's the main difference between when Farmer's version was doing better when Assault on Helm's Deep was more prevalent. And then since it's not become as prevalent, your list is doing better because I
yeah,
think it goes slightly better into other lists, like say Dragon Emperor or stuff like that, than Farmers does?
It is hands down. I can credit my 3 GBHL 100s to the Mouth of Sauron. I hadn't won 100 before him, and I've taken him the last 3 times I've taken him. I've won all the events. So when me and Sam had our
What
little
happened on the
debate,
4th time before that one?
the 4th time I was at Bicester where I took full Serpent Horde.
Oh
So
no, when you took the Mouth of Sauron.
so I haven't taken the Mouth of Sauron and
Oh, you
not
didn't take him
won
actually at
100.
Dewey's, did you? Because you couldn't take him.
No,
Yeah.
no. Uh, it's just he helps in so many ways. Like you're able to double march when you need to. You've got the double transfix. You've got at the end of the day when
It's the
he's
flexibility, yeah.
when he's all spunked all over the enemy's heroes, he can then just go in on his horse at strength 4 at fight 5 with 3 attacks, and then a Saladin banner giving him 4 dice to win the duel, and he can just kill stuff as well. Whereas Kardash the Firecaller, which I took previously in the season to, for example, come 3rd at the Masters, he just doesn't give you that same.
You know, also the main difference I just realised in a lot of these events that you've won compared to the ones where you didn't win using a similar list.
Yeah,
You didn't play me.
no, that's true.
Because I stopped you getting top 2 at the Masters, and then I
Yeah,
knocked you out of the podium at Chippenham.
and that's actually another thing. The Mouth of Sauron would put me in a much better position against dwarfs, because he can charge in and potentially kill a dwarf if I'm lucky. Spend might and kill 2. Whereas the Firecaller against dwarfs just goes, oh, I'm now doing nothing.
See, I always think the decision in your list should have been between Miska and the Mouth. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have ever gone Kardash.
Yeah, I was a mere novice back then.
Hmm.
I
The
believe I
double
have a
transfix is
Musga.
just so good.
Hmm?
Oh, Elliot's going to whip out a mouth that's not his.
I've got a Musga from Ali King.
Have you got my Miska?
I've also got your mouth.
I didn't even know you had my Miska. I probably should have. I need to register.
I'm a fan of the horse sort of swap you've got on the.
You know that was because I was going to an event and I couldn't be asked to paint like the Mouth's horse, and I was like, you know what? That's an armored horse that I've got painted.
That's.
But
gift
I
from
have
you.
painted my own Musga, so and
That's the
mouth.
type of behavior that I would totally do.
Pretty
I know,
tactical.
just the mouth gives you so much ability to kill, cast magic, double march. He's great.
He's one of those heroes which, on paper, doesn't look amazing, but the flexibility is actually great. Which in a tournament situation is arguably more useful than the optimal choice.
Another
Because-
thing is he even when he's dismounted, so they kill his horse, he then just sits in the line as basically a Black Numenorian captain because he's got the terror, and then the Witch King gives him the Harbinger. So he
While
also
we're here, he should have a Harbinger himself.
So
Like
he
that is
just-
literally his job.
yeah. So he just maintains that terror shield wall. But no, I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season goes. If I can stay in 3rd place, I'd be very pleased. And if I was to
You don't
potentially-
have many... Sorry, I was just gonna say you don't have many more 100s though, do you?
well,
We've
it
got
depends.
Finale,
Unnumbered tiers, contest.
oh yeah,
In
contest.
imps?
No, not imps.
I think it's just those maybe.
So potentially those 3.
It's a fair amount though.
So just depends how the luck continues.
Well, considering you're winning all your 100s now anyway, so that's another 3 wins that we can
Yeah, so-
chalk down.
And then it's good.
If I take the mouth, then it's a guaranteed
Yeah.
victory.
They are higher point events though, all of those, aren't they?
Yeah.
Um,
650 for contest, but
Oh yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Should we
that's
say that's enough about Ash?
that's Ash's
Yippee!
season wrapped up. So Ali, moving on to Mr. Farmer.
So I've known Farmer a long time. We
Yeah.
went to school together. I'm responsible
We've made
for
love.
Yeah, we actually lost contact for a year or so because we went to different colleges. to do A levels, and then he never did wargaming whatsoever. I was the only nerd in school that did it, and yeah, a bit like Ash,
That was
but
me.
and then randomly ended up reconnecting with him and a few other friends because they got into Warhammer. And then we played Warhammer Fantasy for a while. They blew up Warhammer Fantasy, and then I basically Farmer was always a competitive player, and I was looking for someone to play SVG against, and it was like, "Do you want to play SVG?" And then that's kinda basically Farmer plays SVG because I needed a practice buddy, and now he's doing quite well at it. But in terms of his season, it
back to this-
starts.
yeah.
Yeah, it started off very, very well, and continued reasonably well. However, he's now at a point where he's gone to so many GBHL 100 events, and he's done so well with his variation of like the Sully Witch King list. I think he's getting a bit of fatigue with the list, so he started trying to find new meta or new things and stuff like that. And so I think he's at a point where, because Jake's just sneaked above him again, he was really hoping he was going to get the fourth win before Jake got the third, so he could take a couple of events off. He now can't really do that, so
Mm.
I'm not sure what he's really looking at list-wise for the future, but his main strengths have always been he's loved using magic and evil lists and those kind of control. He also has really enjoyed and had success before using Kira Fungal. I think one of his wins was with that. But he's trying to read the meta at the moment because the meta hasn't settled down. He's a bit unsure what to take. But I think if he stuck to the Witch King Sully, he will get that fourth win. And he will be nailed in for the top 2 in the league.
Yeah, if he's ultimately trying to win the league and he's done the best with Witch King Sully and it's arguably the best list at the moment, he should just keep on taking it.
Well, has he done the best with Witch King Sully? There's someone else who's actually one more event with it than him. But
I am the father.
Yeah, like Farmer's a bit like me in terms of you like to win with your own list rather than the meta list. So when I won the league, it was with Dwarfs or Phaedra's Guard, and no one else had won GBHL 100 events with those armies. And so it was kind of like an extra little
but
cherry on the
kudos.
cake,
but
like sort
you
of thing.
prefer to win the league without that cherry than not win the
Oh
league.
yeah, which is why I think he will end up
So he should
sticking to those lists. But I think at the moment he's kind of just a bit fatigued with it, because he's gone to 14 GBHL 100 events this year, and he's probably taken that list to 10 of them. I reckon 11.
Well, suck it up, Farmer. If you want to win the league, bring out your Witch King.
And the thing is, if he does use that list, he's got a very strong chance of winning the league. It's arguably still between him and Jake, with Ashley and Jakob as the wild card. I don't think Jay's going to win the league, the Chaya, but he may crack into the top 3.
Him and Jakob are tied on points, actually. So if Jakob could win, why couldn't Jay?
Because I think Jay is a bit more relaxed and isn't gunning for it quite in the same way.
I think maybe he was when he was third, but now Ash has taken his.
Yeah.
He hasn't been to an event since Ash has come third, though, no?
There's also the thing of so the main advantage that Farmer and Jake have is their tiebreakers are so much better than it. No one else is going to be able to get as many seconds as them.
No,
So
they're way,
Ashley,
way
Jakob,
down.
and Jay all need more wins to overhaul them. And Ashley can do that because he's already got 3 wins. Jay and Jakob are much less likely to, because they don't have that extra win already. And I don't think either of them, realistically, I think they're going to have to win 5 events to overhaul them. So both of them need 3 wins, and I don't think either of them are going to go to enough events before the end of the year. But I think Jakobi may be going to more, but I may be wrong on that.
Just to sneak 100 and then just be on top for a little bit before Farmer and Rawson stomp me back down would be quite hilarious. So
Yeah.
the $1 million question:
Oh, we haven't
Jake
really got to
Rawson,
Jake yet.
why is he top? What's he doing differently? Because he's not taking the meta. So
all good.
So Jake Wilson is taking tried and tested lists at the points levels they work. So Hunter Orcs has been a very good list for a very long time. Will champion kinda half won 2 leagues using Hunter Orcs primarily. I've won events and or run them up with a Hunter Orc variation army list. So he's using armies which one play into his play style that I mentioned earlier, but are
what is his
also
play
proven
style? Because you put a
winners.
pin in that.
Oh, it was kind of when I was talking about
Positional.
sort of like he's very good, sort of his natural instinct and positional play. He has very good instincts for and general tactics, how to play the scenarios and where to move models and stuff like that.
Okay.
So he's generally quite naturally adept at using army lists like Hunter Orcs or Arna or stuff like that, where it's not about going for the big play with like doing a compel with the Witch King or like an AOL, like you turn a spider, enrage it, turn it invisible, go and like those kind of lists. It's more having a quality list with quality troops and heroes and knowing how to apply them properly
Yeah.
in the game. And he is using a bit like Jakob, he's using the optimum list for the optimum event so it's like Arnott are very good at low points because they've got so many models and they're so hard to kill, and therefore you could take that list and go, right, I'm guaranteed 4 wins in the bag on this, and you know what, I'm going to back myself as a player to win those other 2, and that's what Jake's doing, and he does have the skill to do that, and that's why he's winning with those lists where some other people may not, is because either they go, I can't guarantee those 6 wins, or they don't back themselves or have the ability to do it. But as Jake does, and arguably everyone in the top 10 does, it's just what player like what event they're going to and the luck on the day. But Jake has gone to the same. Him and Farmer and yourself have all gone to the most amount of events 100-wise this year, and you're all playing the lists which play to your strengths, and that is why you are the top 3 at the moment.
Boom. You heard it
You
here
love to
first,
see it.
folks.
Yep.
So wrap it up. Final predictions.
Oh, I'll go last.
We'll start with our beloved host, Elliot Schillinglaw.
Are we doing
Give
top
us-
3 prediction or
Just top 3. Just say
Yeah.
your top 3.
Top 3.
in reverse order? At number 3.
So with it's really a toss up between Rawson and Farmer. I mean, they're so close.
What, in for 3rd place?
I'll start with third then. Yours truly, Ash Walger, is gonna remain.
Actually, can we do top 5? Do you think
Okay.
that's
Okay,
going to stay the same?
Top 5 then.
Do you think those
Um,
5 are locked out?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a potential that you could move. Maybe. What's your like? Yeah, because you've got room. Yeah, I think you can move into top 5, Ali. So because you've got a low 4th score, so I think
I've got to make sure I'm not close enough that, like, when it gets to the league finale and I'm meant to TO, I'm just like, kind of.
Well, you are very good at doing well at events that you TO at, so maybe
Yeah.
it's setting itself up perfectly.
Actually,
Yeah.
if I got my 4 points for my City of Kings event, I think I would be top 5.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I think you can move into top 5. Because I'm not sure if Jay's going to keep on taking assault, but Jay could definitely hang around there. I'm hoping Ash is going to stay in top 3. If not, I guess Jakob could move up. But yeah, I don't think, like you said, Ali, I don't think Jakob he could move up into sort of like top 3 and potentially win the league. But I'm hoping that doesn't happen, so Ash stays in 3rd. And then between Rawson and Farmer, I mean, it's just so close as they're their 7th score is literally separated by a thread.
So I think if
Um,
Farmer gets a podium, like even a third, he goes back above on like the 8th tiebreaker.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I think if Farmer brings out Witch King Sully more at all these higher point events that are coming up, then I think Farmer wins the league. But like Unnumbered Tears is a bit of a, I don't know what he's planning to take, but Rawson took, it was Rivendell and Loth last year to Unnumbered Tears and he won it. Was it Rivendell Loth?
No, was that Unnumbered Tears?
Yeah, it was Loth from Rivendell.
Yeah, that was when Jake first announced himself on the scene, really, wasn't it? In the space of a month.
So I mean, he could bring out a similar sort of list again and potentially win that. So it's really, really close. But I think with the amount of high point 100s that are coming up, I think Farmer might edge it. But it's
Ooh.
yeah. So
Sam, top 5.
Sam.
Okay, it's gonna go. Ali, what event you going to? You going to Tom's contest?
So at the moment, I've got this weekend coming. I've got Imps and I've got Contest.
Is that their only 2?
3.
That's
Three.
3.
Yeah, Imps and contest.
And
This weekend.
Yeah.
Lol. Okay.
Brother's tripping.
I am like next on the list for Unnumbered Tears, but I probably will only be able to do 3, I think.
Okay, so it's gonna go Jakob 5th, Ali Ali 4th.
Oh.
It's gonna go Farmer 3rd, Rawson 2nd, Ash 1st.
Let's go.
I'm gonna stick by that because
Totally should have.
Where did you put Farmer?
Oh my
3rd?
God. Yes, Ash Walker's
Wait,
going
Farmer
to
3rd.
win.
I'm thinking that you're gonna do well at probably Imps because your list is pretty good. Well, you know,
I've got to change it slightly though, apparently.
Okay.
Adam is shaking his head there.
Because I can't remove equipment even when a
Oh,
profile
I
was
see.
changing.
Wait, are you
Right.
talking about your Emperor list or your Dwarfs?
No, this is for Imps.
This is a good list. To be fair,
Me and Sam
Ali-
have like a little
yeah.
little thing going on.
Is this the one that? Yeah, I think. Yeah,
Ali's probably gonna do well at Imps. I'll say it there.
I'm taking a really themey list, by the way.
It's really themey, but it's pretty fucking good. Actually. So yeah, Ali will go. Jakob will stay there. Jakob and Jay won't change. They're just going to shimmy down. Ali will go into 4th. Ash will get lucky with matchup again and win another 100. Like he'll play, he'll have Ed in Hold Ground or Ed in Command Battlefield again. It's gonna go that way. He's gonna win another 100, and Ash is gonna stop the other 2 winning the 100s as well. So he's gonna then play Rawson game 5, beat him, and then he then can't win. So then that's out of the question. Same with Farmer. So yeah,
Ash's 1-0 against Farmer in game 6s at events this year.
Rawson and Jay.
That's a great stat.
I'm gonna say they won't change. Ash is just gonna go above both with 400s.
And then my prediction. That is my prediction.
Drop. Yeah. Jakob will drop, and Ali will sit in 4th.
Perfect position. I will I'm TOing the league in the same way I TO City of Kings in your prediction. Just go into 4th, not to swap the podiums, but like
because I don't see like I've played Ash so many games that at his mum's house and stuff, and it's unbelievable the stuff that goes on. It's unbelievable, and I just don't see it stopping because I just know Ash, and I know the dice he uses, and I know how cursed he is. It just will happen because it's the most Ashley Walker thing ever.
It's the Games Workshop dice. I don't know if anyone remembers back in the day. They used to sell. If I don't have my bag near me, I totally don't. But they used to sell dice, like a big plastic dice, and then inside that big plastic dice was loads of tiny little mini dice. And I used to play War of the Ring, so I bought different colors of those, and for some reason they've been cooking for about 10 years, and
they are
nuts. Like just on the windowsill, like
they've been
6 like the right way around, so they slightly weight.
they've really been cooking.
And the dragon dice, whatever that thing is, wherever you got that from, you need to keep that and fucking keep cooking that up.
This dragon
from my
dice,
brother's event, probably.
Yeah, so it was given to me by one of the Welsh players, that Matt King, that was at Into the West. He said
dice
he played.
is cooked. It
He
is.
said he played Age of Sigmar. He used to play Age of Sigmar competitively.
Before
He
they
was
kicked
like,
him
"Oh,
out
I've
for
got
having weighted
all these
dice.
red." He got kicked out. He said, "Oh, I've got all these red dragon dice." Like any heroics give out dice. He was like, "Oh, I'm part of this Welsh team. Would you want a dragon dice?" It's like, mate, I'll happily take one of those. And it's pretty good.
It's pretty nuts. So
Pretty
yeah,
good.
Ash
Pretty
first,
good.
Ash first, Rawson Farmer second, third, Jakob fifth, and Ali going up to fourth. Bosh.
Love to see it. Adam, your predictions.
Yeah, so looking at the scope for improvement, Ali does have the most scope for improvement.
It helps to be rubbish.
Late in the year.
Yeah.
Well,
What was it
it
that I
helps
say?
to have-
It's rather to be lucky at the end of the game than at the start.
Yeah.
Totally is.
It helps to have 3 really good scores and 1 not so good score, because that means all you need to do is do well in 1 and then just put your feet up.
Mm.
He
So I
has to
actually
come
think
second.
Ali will come 5th. I think Jakob will stay in 4th, because I could see Jakob winning another 100 to cement 4th.
I really
could
hope
see-
Jay doesn't actually watch this.
Well,
He's just all kicking him
he
out of the
doesn't have
top
time.
5.
He doesn't have time.
He's
They-
he's a proper human. He's too busy.
Yeah.
yeah, he's actually going on holiday and living life. So there you go.
That's why I didn't go to Worcester. So, the rest of your top five,
So I think Jakob will stay there, but I think he'll get an extra 100 points. So I think he'll actually go up to 390. I think Rawson finishes 3rd. Although I know he's got lots of events up in the Midlands, right? There's a lot going up there. But I have a feeling Walger will come 2nd and Farmer 1st.
Oh God, you guys are giving me big hype. This is
That's your 3rd in the league.
That
mate.
requires Rawson and Wolga to win 100, essentially.
No, Farmer.
Farmer and Woogler.
Sorry, yeah.
No, I think Farmer will win another 100, yeah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
Farmer and Ash would need to win 100, and then Rawson would sit him just below.
But it's basically because all the events coming up are high points. Like Rawson's armies are really good at that sort of low to mid points. I know he's got Lothlorien, but
I mean, yeah, he
so-
won a number tiers, so
what, last year?
1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, given the events that happen in the Midlands, Rawson would win 100 and win the whole thing. He could, absolutely.
He also did come 3rd at Imps last year.
Because he beat you.
He could win this weekend.
He also lost to me at the same event. We played each other twice.
nah.
In
This
the last
weekend,
game,
Sam
though.
Grattan's taking the W. I'm telling everyone right now.
If there were a couple more events which were like 600-ish points, my money's on Rawson.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying, like, because they're high points, it kind of sits into Farmers and Ashes.
Yeah.
Laps. Yeah. Okay.
Ali, can I have a guess at what you were talking about earlier? You're saying a themed imps list.
Yeah.
You love dwarves, so would it be something like Erebor reclaimed and then Thorin dies day 1 and then Dane becomes leader day 2?
It's along the right. It kind of is, yes, but it's also not what you think.
Let's go!
Bingo!
Let's
No,
go!
because it's not what you think day 2.
Oh yeah, well it's Old Dane, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I publicise my list all the time, so I don't care if people
That is
know
so
it.
tappable from Adam. That is so
Ali, you need to give
Well-
Adam some credit there. I mean, he
Oh, I will
totally
do.
just, deciphered
I mean,
your
I will
entire-
say I am slightly predictable as well, but
Yeah, you've been taking Old Dane a lot, like, it's, yeah.
Well, you beat me with that list when I took
Finale.
hits. Yeah,
that was
last
actually quite a close game.
Well, yeah, as all.
What are you saying, Adam? Shit.
Last term.
No, as in it generally was a very close game.
Oh,
'Cause
that
it-
was actually a close game.
What are you saying, Adam? Shit.
No, Ash, he'd only say it in that way if he's played me.
That's true.
I think
Yeah,
Ali coming
true.
2nd or 3rd and me coming 5th
it
doesn't
was
really imply it was like a shit game.
no, it was because it was actually. I think if you won, you would have gotten 3rd because that's what I got because we're the whole
Right.
world champion wallback debacle.
Stuff.
Um,
I just needed Azog to kill one model off that combat in your
Mm.
camp.
There's something like
So,
that.
Ash,
Well
your
done.
top 5 predictions. Go.
So I am going to predict that it ends with, if I'm being completely punctual for predictions, I think Farmer will win
Impartial.
the league. Yeah, impartial, sorry. Farmer will win the league. Rawson will come second. Jakob will come third. I'll come fourth. And then Jay will stay fifth.
I'm disappointed in that take from you, Ash.
That's simply if I'm
Because then if it happens, he can claim to be right, even if he doesn't
Yeah.
finish top 3 in the league.
yeah, so that's my data analysis brain thinking how it's going to work. However, with the jamminess of, for some reason, the luck at the moment, I will win the league, and then it will be
That's
and
better. Come
then it
on.
will be Farmer, and then Rawson, and then Jakob and Jay.
Yes.
I will win the league.
Yes. You
No,
will
so
win the
no,
league.
my first prediction is what I think will happen. But I'll be fighting to my very last event to try and maintain these podium positions, because I think it'll be a good success.
Danny will be rolled until the last moment.
Danny will be rolled. Ali,
Oh,
wrap
is
us
that
up,
the end of the
baby.
point? Yeah, we don't need that. No. So top 5, I'm gonna back myself, and I'll sneak in 5th at the expense of Jay.
Ooh.
I don't like that take anyway.
But you got to back yourself, you know.
I think I said exactly the same thing though. So anyway,
Yeah. Um. So I think the next 200 pointers are going to be the most important 100 pointers of the season so far.
which are G Boot and Imps.
No, so is
Ripon and Imps.
Ripon,
Oh, sorry, Ripon.
Ripon and G Boot.
Both which I can't go to.
Yeah, which is part of the reason why I think they're the 2 most important ones.
Ah,
Because I think if Farmer or Jake wins this weekend coming, whoever wins that will win the league. And then G Boot will, because at the moment I think it's just Farmer and Jakob who've got tickets from those guys.
And me.
and Sam Bratton. Don't
Oh,
forget.
yeah,
Don't throw
yeah.
shade at his name.
So I
Almost
have.
there.
So if Jakob, I think Jakob could win G Boot, but
That's what I'm worried about. Because yeah.
Yeah.
But equally, I think the format doesn't favour Farmer's list. So I think Jakob's more likely to win G Boot. So I think this weekend coming will be more important, because when you look at the attendance list, if you, especially knowing what I'm taking, like you look at the top players, I'm there going, it looks like it's going to be you would predict a Farmer or Jake win. Anyone else would win would be surprising, not deserved, but surprising. And I kind of can guess what they're both taking this weekend.
I totally know what they're taking.
Oh yeah, so Wilson's Arnor,
Yeah.
and Farmer's the Witch King Sully.
The same as Ash this with Mouth.
Yeah.
And I think Witch King Sully beats Arnor,
Yeah, but
especially with the mouth.
This is when Ali's list comes and destroys Farmer game 2.
This is the thing. Like, but it's right, I've beaten Farmer and Jake like the last 3 times I played, even about the last couple of events. Like, and I've just been ruining their events and not playing you. It's pretty much what's
That's the
happened.
thing. If you, to be fair, the last time we played at 100, I totally beat you, but that is because you rolled double 1 in Bista.
Yeah.
But so maybe you win Ripon, and then
Oh, it'd be funny if I did, but I
you
don't
throw
think
it
I will.
over to Jakob to win
So-
G Boot, which would make then he'd go above me.
So what events are you going to, Ash?
So penciled, definitely I can go to unnumbered tiers and contest, and then potentially I can go to the finale.
So I think you podium at contest.
That's
You're
pretty-
not.
I
You're
don't.
not.
I don't think you podium at unnumbered tiers.
I haven't played 1,000 points,
Yeah,
so
that's why I don't think you will.
I'd be running
Um,
something. Yeah.
Cursed.
And then the finale will be who knows really at the time. It's kind of
So, Ash, you're not locked in for the finale.
No.
so yeah, I'm gonna say Jakub sneaks ahead of you. I think you.
I just don't think I had.
I don't
I
think you got
needed-
enough events. You
Yeah.
could. So I'm gonna put you in fourth. Jakub in third. This has actually changed from what I originally was thinking. And then I think I'm trying to think what of it.
Which way will Caesar decide?
I'm trying to work out based on the events that we've got coming up.
If I could have, because I was originally me and Sam were
Literally,
going
if
to
you
go to
ask me this
Ripon.
question next week, I'll be able to give you a firm answer.
Mm,
Um,
that's
I
why
think
he's
because I think because Farmer I reckon's got the edge in the head-to-head this weekend, and he's going, I think, uncontested. That is, it's him and Jakub going into G-Boot. I'm gonna say Jake second, Farmer first.
Oh, so all 5 of us on the Gollums Gamers think that Farmer will win the league,
Farmer's going to win the league.
which is
Yep.
gonna
However,
really bite us in the arse when
Let's hope this doesn't
Rawson
age badly.
goes and wins the league.
Yeah.
so that's based on what I can remember people going. I did actually, when we first went into this, was gonna have Ash you second before you told me
Woo!
how many events you were going to.
Ah, that's a shame.
And
So
that
if I
was
was going to Ripon and Imps, you think
Yeah.
it could be different?
yeah.
Oh dear.
It's fine. I'll get crazy luck at Ripon, win it, and then
Oh yeah, Sam, you're doing 5 events, aren't you, before the end of the year?
huh?
You're
I'm
doing
doing
5 or 4?
what am I doing? I'm doing Ripon contest, finale, and the 1,000 point one.
Yeah, so you're gonna win all 4 of them and win the league. Yeah, what
To be
are we on
fair,
about?
me and Sam are totally contemplating for his birthday going up to Scotland
We're fucking not. Let's settle that right now.
No
to
way.
go to the
Scot-
GBHL
Oh.
100 at Bywater.
Oh, the Bywater one. By the way, Scouring Sterling. If you can get to that, it may be a very free shot at 100-point
Why?
Yeah.
because there may be a team GBHL going to the Polish team championships on the same weekend.
When is that?
Organised by Jakub, consisting of Jakub, myself, Jake Rawson, and Dave Farmer.
When is
Wow.
Ah.
The thing
Let me
is,
put that in my calendar.
Sam has instantly whipped up the
It-
GBHL calendar.
No, I haven't.
isn't that event like in Inverness or something?
That one's in Sterling, so this one's the one at the end of November.
We're gonna
Where is
go over-
Sterling? Is
Yeah.
it far?
I'll drive.
We'd
I'm there.
we could
What
do
is
it.
it?
I'll book annual leave.
That'd be the most nervous thing.
Let's go on
He's
the
getting
calendar.
up now.
I'll book annual leave, Rev.
I'll book annual leave.
Events. Right.
I love the way that the if you just don't worry,
Well, how it
because
all
if you go back, the original picture of the league has Ali at the top.
Does it?
Yeah, so look now, if you look in the corner, Ali King, top.
Oh yeah, I noticed that.
It's a
Oh,
bit
yeah,
cringe
oh.
from Ali.
It's also got David Clubley, so like he's on the committee as well.
Are we? November. Yeah, 25th and 26th.
So the original thing was like if all 3 of them went, because when we were talking about it, it was like, well, if it means that they're not like giving a free shot for anyone else, but Ash has ruined that.
Yeah, but
by-
Ash, yeah, Ash, you have to go.
Right, let's do it. I've got
When
my
is this?
calendar up.
November?
25th and 26th of November. I'm free, boys. I'll
Oh,
drive.
Fucking hell, I'm so free as well. Oh, no.
October. Oh my god, I can
When the
totally
tickets
be
announced.
free.
God, I'm
Tickets
so
do go
free.
on sale this week.
Ah!
Fucking hell.
Rob
Let's
Shilling
go.
Rock, here we go!
God, we're still recording. Oh no.
Oh Jesus!
Love to see it, boys.
Are you going? Are you coming with us, Adam?
No, I
Yeah.
can't.
Ali, come on, mate.
Well, I'm in Poland. Like, I literally just
That
explained.
was
Oh,
literally the
you
whole
just
point
said-
in what you
sorry,
just
then.
said.
Where is it, Poland?
Yeah, I don't know, somewhere Polish.
Fair. No, fair play, Ali.
Nah,
Polish.
yeah.
Is it Polish? They're Polish.
Okay, so that's Ali's prediction. So yeah, we all think Farmer's going to win the league.
So
Rawson,
if he
you're
doesn't,
listening.
no pressure.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. But the gamers have spoken. Any closing thoughts from anyone other than that we're going to Scouring?
I'd just like to say that you didn't think we'd have anything to talk about this pod. and it might be one of our longest ones.
Ali's waffled for fucking.
You do realise that every single
5
podcast I've
years.
ever been on gets 50% longer.
That's why. Okay,
Podcast.
so that is going to do it. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching another episode of the Gollum Gamers podcast.